Got a question. Why would over 40% of Americans choose a leader with the morality of an overblown cockroach? Well, there might be we just shouldn't be so hard on those Americans at 40%. You know, there's a reason. There's at least an alphabet of reasons why they might want to vote for Trump. Let's listen to some of them. They're drugged on hypocritical and antiquated religious beliefs. Possibility. They're narrow-minded narcissists, solely concerned with the market's effect on their finances. True. They'll believe any con told that fits what they already believe, which makes them feel smarter. And then there's the fact that most of them never graduated from elementary school and were taught that science and critical thinking was an elitist conspiracy. And again, many American citizens share the president's narcissistic view that they're more knowledgeable than doctors and virus experts regarding health issues. Now about the letter F, the sixth one I can think of. Some Trumpites are gullible enough to believe, against health officials' advice, that swallowing disinfectants or taking drugs such as Trump's recipe for hydrochloroquine will solve their virus problems. We got them. How about the ones that are encouraged by their leaders that they possess the God-given constitutional rights to endanger the health and lives of others in pursuit of their own personal interests? And then there's the childish thought. They delight in listening to the president that constantly engages in juvenile behavior, such as calling anyone who opposes him or offends him childish names: Crooked Hillary, Lion Ted, Sleeping Joe, Crazy Bernie. And although most are probably aware of the obvious case of narcissism displayed by Trump, it's also noticeable that Trump will tend to project his own shortcomings onto his own distractors. Then there's the lies. When Trump speaks, truth is often the victim. But generally, he can be forgiven when the words suit the followers' demands. Trumpites are generally more concerned with opinions than verifiable facts. And according to the media, most police tend to favor Trump, especially when he tells them at his rallies, when you arrest him, don't be nice. Hit them on the head when you push him in the car. Well, a lot of them just simply enjoy the flip-flopping. Some find it simply amusing when Trump so often flips his opinion about so many others that he encounters. Ted Cruz is a nasty guy. No one likes Ted Cruz. I like Ted Cruz a lot. Megyn Kelly, you've done a great job. I could never beat you. I have zero respect for Megyn Kelly. She's highly overrated. Hillary Clinton, a terrific woman. I think she does a great job. I like her. Hillary Clinton, she was the worst Secretary of State in history. What? The state of Iowa? I love Iowa. We've done really well there. How stupid are the people of Iowa? All little quotations, fully documented. How about patriotism? How about the patriots who feel their freedom during the contagion virus pandemic, likely to frequent barbershops, nail salons, tattoo parlors, crowded restaurants, movie theaters, church pews, and so on? They're more essential than the thousands, perhaps millions of lives and deaths affected by such activities. It's tough. Got to get my breath here. There is the situation of the masks. What kind of leader sets an example by refusing to wear a mask in public recommended by all health authorities in order to advance his own personal appearance and to encourage the possible premature openings of businesses during a pandemic against the recommendations of even his own health authorities. Then we get down to racism. Is it possible to believe that we would elect a racist leader that refers to African nations as shithole countries? A judge that should not be allowed to decide his case because he's of Mexican descent? That paraded the false propaganda that President Obama was born in Kenya? That the protesters in a rally in Charlottesville, South Carolina, which included a number of white supremacists and members of the Ku Klux Klan, that group included fine people on both sides, as well as stating that he'd never heard of David Duke, former Klan Grand Wizard and ardent supporter of Trump. To allay any doubt about the issue, we might recall when footballer Colin Kaepernick bent on his knee to protest racism. The president, apparently seizing the opportunity to extol his patriotism for all to see, publicly referred to Colin as a son of a bitch that should be fired. Kaepernick was blackballed. In the wake of the George Floyd event, however, the National Football League Commissioner, Adam Silver, was forced to apologize for all the NFL owners and Trump. Now there's a situation of a little hypocrisy, or a lot. Could the smell and stench of hypocrisy be more prevalent when during the protests and riots incited by police brutality, the president waves the Bible high in the air and calls for the National Guard to come in and dominate the scene, proclaiming, "When the looting starts, the shooting begins"? Was it Jesus teaching that violence begets violence? And where was it written, "'Tis easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven"? Whew. Now talk about the elixirs, that's the word. Of course, it's a fact that many Americans sense they're not getting a fair share of the pie. They include many working in rural areas without high school or even college degrees, living in depressed areas that have become discouraged and depressed enough to fall victim to many of the false elixirs proposed by a master con man. Possibly the champion and most dangerous of all the false solutions put forth by Trump is the America First con. Sounds great to those already drugged on consumerism, stock market, sports, entertainment, TV, rap music, and anything else for them to pay much attention to realistic national or social issues. Consequently, the gap left by many citizens to give serious attention to the important world issues provides fertile ground upon which ignorance, a demagogue, might use to build his base. And what a time to encourage Americans to crawl into a shell while civilization and the whole world requires unprecedented cooperation and coordination to deal with the unprecedented threats of the coronavirus. Warming climate, widening gaps between the needy and the wealthy, worldwide racial and cultural prejudices, and of course, always the danger of atomic warfare. And yes, the president has already provided his isolationist supporters much to cheer over. Trump has renounced funding for the World Health Organization. This was announced in accordance with his campaign to shift blame for the coronavirus in the U.S. to China. The Democratic governors, the mayors, the U.S. Council for Disease Control, CDC, and even former President Obama. The initial cover-up in China and the WHO, World Health Organization, may have actually persisted for about a week, while Trump's failure to acknowledge the imminent danger persisted for 6 weeks in his hopes of protecting the market. The fact that the U.S. has but 1/20th the population of the world, but has, what do you think, 1/3 of the cases and deaths from the coronavirus. This should prevent a bit of an enigma to a Trumpite. Now there's the integration thing. Isolationist policies, actions initiated by Trump seem an endless joy to his base. And among them is included disbanding nuclear accords we have had with Iran and Russia, abandoning global warming agreements with countries of the world, threatening NATO, mismanaging tariffs and trade agreements, denigrating immigration, and holding hostage 800,000 DACA victims, selecting rich over poor immigrants, and the beat goes on. We're almost down to the end of the reasons that we must forgive these 40%. Let's talk, though, for a minute about gerrymandering. That's an affront to democracy, arranging voting districts to favor political parties. Republicans love it, and the facts indicate that presently many states with Democratic majorities have more Republican legislators. Wonder why. Then there's Fox News. Trump's remaining media fortress is now expanding its political bias by resorting to championing conspiracy theories, attacking Obama in the hopes of stalling his slipping popularity. And then we tried the impeachment. Trumpites apparently find no problem with the president's impeachable activities by offering advantages to foreign countries like Ukraine and China for help in discrediting Joe Biden. Finally, if you want to think about Trump, think of the words, "You're fired." Does that include all the best people he promised to hire? Well, by this point, most Americans could go on beyond this alphabet of reasons for the clan of Trumpites to fall in love with the president. And I guess all we can say is we got to forgive him. Would you? 170,000 dead? Don't sound too good. Thank you.